Mr. Britton asked me if I could just say a few words about communicating Window to the Stars and the software that we use with the general public. Now, this is something that we've been doing for quite a long time. I do remember when we started with Window to the Stars and sort of public observing nights. It was generally done, and as we still do in Guildford, at the University of Surrey, we still have evenings where once a month, we have the telescope is open. And you might think telescope nights are fantastic. Everyone comes along and looks at the sky and sees wonderful things, and they do. The problem is in England, we have this thing called the weather, and the weather is a problem. Often it rains, and while we have a talk that people can go to, they still want to have some kind of interaction with the stars. And a great way to do that is through computer modeling, because, of course, this is a part of how we understand the stars. This is how we make state-of-the-art models of stars to understand the astrophysics that goes on in space. So this is something I think you certainly should focus on when you're trying to communicate with people out there. It's a very, very important thing. Now, what we did then was at these open evenings, we just have a desk with a couple of chairs and people could come and sit and play on the computer for themselves. The great thing about doing this project now on the Raspberry Pi, of course, is it's almost indestructible. You can just have a very cheap setup, and if it goes wrong, you can just reflash the SD card on the Raspberry Pi and you start again. It's brilliant. So it's a very easy thing to do and very low cost. And you can use old monitors and keyboards, and that's absolutely fine as long as the keyboards and mice have USB sockets, and as long as you have an HDMI monitor, everything just works. So this worked really well, but there are some things that are key to really getting your message across. One of them is to speak to people as if they are quite intelligent, and often you'll find they are. However, the adults often aren't the ones that feel they have time to care about it. They're looking after their kids normally when they're at these events. So it's the kids that you want to talk to. And by kids, I mean really, anything from about 5 or 6 upwards. As long as they can actually use the mouse, they can start doing things on the screen, and they love the interaction. It's like a game, and it's really fascinating to watch young kids learning about how stars work by actually trying new things on the screen. Now, of course, it helps if they're a little bit older. So if they're 10 or 11 or something, then it makes it a lot easier for them to understand what's going on. But you can explain, brighter is at the top of the diagram, darker is at the bottom. You can say that red is cooler and blue is hotter, which is the opposite of everything they've ever been taught by society. They've always been taught that if it's red hot, you mustn't touch it. But of course, blue hot is even hotter. So you can teach them this. And you can teach them this through stars. And of course, what you're teaching them is quantum mechanics. But, they don't know that yet. But that's what you're teaching them. So that's a very important thing. And I would really expect them to be very interested in things like this. They also like that you can start the stars running and watch the stars evolve across the screen. That is fantastic. You can see it in almost real time, and that's so important. I think the other thing to do is, other than just explain everything to them and be there for them, is to have some books or some material around. So, I mean, for example, you can make some flyers with, links to our website or stuff like that, or your posters. You could print out copies of the posters so they can take them home and have a look at them. That's very important. The other thing you might want to try doing is having some books around. For example, relatively easy to read books on stellar astrophysics. Now, I was looking in my bookshelf, as you see behind me, to see if I had any books that were suitable for this. Most of them are in the office, and of course I'm at home at the moment. But I did find one which I read when I was 7. And I know I was 7 because it came out in 1983. So it's this book by Patrick Moore, which you can now, you can acquire on Amazon for £5 now. So it's very cheap. You can get it secondhand. But you'll see I've bookmarked this page here, which has a link to a chapter in here called The Sons of Space. And on the second page of that, what do you have? You have the red, the blue, and you have a Hertzsprung-Russell diagram, which is the thing that you are showing them on Window to the Stars, except you're doing it interactively. So books like this, I think, are extremely important. I mean, it doesn't have to be this one. There are many, many examples of such books now, and I'll let you choose which one is the best. I'm not I haven't read all of them, obviously. But if you have some books like this, you can show the diagrams, you can show the pictures, say, from the Hubble Space Telescope and things like that, or JWST, which is now wonderful, wonderful images that have come from that. So that's something you can definitely do. And I think that's pretty much all you really should try to do in that session, because you'll have attention from people for 5, maybe 10 minutes. That's the most. Then they'll go on and do something else. And especially if you're something like the Royal Society exhibition, there are so many things to see. They can't stay for longer than that. You shouldn't try to keep them for longer than that. And if they are really interested, they'll come back, or they'll contact you because you've given them details of how to get onto the website and stuff like that. So hopefully that helps. Smile, of course, that's the main thing. And, make sure you have, enough food and drink for everybody. That's a good thing as well. But people are very interested in these kind of things, and they do love actually having the computer there to do the work on. And the parents, when you see the parents at these exhibitions, they often will try to download the software themselves at home. You'd be amazed the number of parents who work particularly in computing, who are quite capable of doing this. It's not difficult. We give instructions for how to do it. It's very, very easy. And so they will then want to go home and they will want to try these things, and give them the opportunity, and some of them will take it. Not all, but a few will. And that's, I think, all you can do. So hopefully that helps. It gives you a few hints as to the sort of things that you could try doing. And if there's anything you think of, please let me know, because I'm always trying to expand this and get it across to more people. I wish you the best of luck. I hope it goes very well, and I wish I could be there. I'm actually trying to send some of my students and postdocs, so hopefully they will come and see you there. That'll be really great if they can. Have a great time.